viewers know, the Russian border is 2,000 miles away to the north. There's the entire breadth of Afghanistan and the Khanates of Samarkand, Bukhara, Khiva, between this southern point in Afghanistan and the Russian. But here, unequivocally, is a party of Russian Cossacks heading into Afghanistan. Now, the British have been fantasizing and fearing a Russian entry into Afghanistan for more than a generation now. For the previous 100 years, the British East India Company had been conquering its way up the Ganga, past Delhi, into the Punjab. The northwest frontier of British India is now Ludhiana. At the same time as this is going on, the Russians are fighting their way southwards, and the Russian lines have been moving south every generation since Peter the Great, at the beginning of the 18th century. And it's clear to anyone that looks at a map that at some point, if this carries on, these two empires are going to bang into each other. They're going to clash. And where they're going to clash, quite clearly, is Afghanistan and the Hindu Kush at some point. So hawkish British strategists have been advocating a preemptive bid to seize the Hindu Kush before the Russians get there, to get the high ground ahead of their other European rivals. But this is more or less pie-in-the-sky stuff in the early 19th century, because between the British and Afghanistan lie two independent countries. There's the Emirs of Sindh, at the bottom of the Indus, and there's Ranjit Singh's very strong Punjab with the Sikh Khalsa, which is one of the best run, and militarily ferocious forces in the whole region. Moreover, there are still 6 independent Khanates between Russia and Afghanistan. So the whole thing is sort of, imperial fantasy at this point. And yet, there, quite clearly, in the dawn light, Rawlinson has seen this large party of Russians riding in to Afghanistan. And what you have in the months that follows is exactly the same process as took place in 2001 after 9/11, when very small pieces of intelligence are manipulated by a group of ideologically driven hawks to create a scare, to build up a small piece of intelligence which needs to be properly analysed into a present and imminent danger. And in the same way, the weapons of mass destructions and the rumours of yellow cake purchases and so on, these little fragments of information were used by the neocons in Washington to force an attack on Iraq, a country which patently and quite clearly had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11. So at this period, you have exactly the same stovepiping, is sometimes the term used, whereby the normal process of analysis of information is abandoned, and a group of individuals who have an ideological stake in a certain outcome shove this piece of information to the forefront, cease to analyse it with any logical intelligence, and go for it. And they're using this single sighting by the beginning of 1839. This is the Vitkovich, the Russian officer who led that party of Cossacks into Afghanistan. This is Emir Dost Muhammad and his family. The middle figure is the ruler of Afghanistan, who the British want to overthrow because he's opened diplomatic relations with Russia. This is Sir Alexander Burns, who's the rather dashing British intelligence officer who goes to negotiate on the ground. Ranjit